It's hard to believe that we have been posting videos about moving abroad for 8 years and we have not done a specific video about Panama yet.
It is hard to believe. We have mentioned Panama in several of our top 10 video lists, but we've never done a dedicated video, so I think now is the time.
Yeah, it is the time, especially since we spent over a month there now.
We have.
Like 5 weeks in Panama, so yeah, we definitely have boots on the ground experience to talk about now. So this video, we're going to share with you why Panama tops so many expat lists and why you might want to cross it off of yours.
But before we dive in, if you're new to our channel, we're Amelia and JP. We can help you fast track your move abroad, whether you want to slow travel like we do, or you want to expat to one country.
All right, let's dive into all the pros and cons of Panama and why it is so popular with so many people, especially American expats.
Okay.
There's a lot of people living there and moving there. So the first pro is that it has a strong residency and retirement program.
Well, that is the number one reason that we would be interested in. Well, I shouldn't say the number one of the many reasons.
Yeah.
The visa has not changed that much in a long time. They have their famous pensionado visa. You need $1,000 a month from your Social Security or your pension fund. And what's nice about that visa is it goes directly into permanent residency. So it is pretty easy to get.
Yeah, it's one of the easier, more affordable countries to move to.
It is.
I mean, in terms of the visa qualification.
Agreed.
It's not like Mexico now where you have to have, what, $4,500?
$4,500, yes.
It's crazy.
It's pricey.
Another nice thing about Panama is that it's on the US dollar. It's actually technically pegged to the US dollar. The official currency is called the Balboa, but you can use dollars there just like the local currency.
That makes it so much easier. I really appreciate not having to do the math like we're doing right now in Prague and in Czechia.
Yeah, no, the
It's
math
tricky.
the math gets old, especially when you change countries. And because in Albania it was 100 to 1, here it's, what is it, 10 to 2, 10, 5 to 10.
I don't know.
So you divide by 2 and drop a 0. The math gets very complicated when you're going to different countries.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. All right. The third reason people like Panama City, especially, is because it's modern. It's got good infrastructure. It's in malls and nice restaurants and a metro.
Yeah, well, that's why we liked it. If you like cities, it's a nice city. It's not overwhelming like a Bangkok. It's not as exotic as Bangkok. It's pretty easy to find your hood and settle in.
Yeah, yeah.
And you can drink the water there. In the newer places, you can drink the water. We did.
Yeah, it's got modern hospitals, which is nice. Rideshare services. You can call an Uber. That's nice.
The metro doesn't go to that many places, but we walked and took taxis, and that was very affordable too.
Yeah.
The Ubers were affordable.
And the airport is nice, although I think Copa has a disproportionate number of slots in their gate assignments because it's like you look down a whole thing and it's just all Copa, and then they charge twice what the other airlines do.
Yeah, there was a couple times we had to go a different route just to make those flights more affordable because the Copa direct flights were pretty painful.
Yeah, like double the cost to go direct. Whereas if we go from Panama to Bogota to somewhere else, it would be half the cost.
However, especially if you're not flying that much, maybe it doesn't really matter. You do get those senior discounts. That's one of the things I should have said. And one of the other things people love that pensionado visa. You come in on that visa, you get senior discounts, and that includes airfare.
Oh, that's
I think you get a 25% discount. So that does add up. Also, that airport is international, so you can fly all over the well, not all over the world, but you can fly it to places and then connect to the rest of the world. You can take a flight direct to Istanbul from Panama City.
And that is number 4, Amelia.
Oh, oops.
She's jumping ahead.
Sorry.
It really does have excellent air connectivity.
Yes.
Because you can go all over. The only thing, it doesn't fly across the Pacific.
No.
It goes to LA and like Santiago, but it doesn't go anywhere across the Pacific. So you can't fly to Hawaii or New Zealand or any place like that.
But you can still get pretty close. And obviously there's lots of flights to the U.S.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a nice advantage for Americans, especially if you want to get back to see your family and friends more often. Those are nice to have those direct flight options.
Absolutely.
All right, number 5 is the tropical climate and natural beauty. And I think the tropical climate, I'm also listing that as a con we'll talk about later, because you either love it or you hate it, or sometimes you can take it for a while but not forever.
That's me.
Yeah.
Sometimes I need a break. I want to get out of the heat and humidity and the rain. And you can go to the mountains, but then you're still going to have some rain. But it is definitely a lot cooler.
It is cooler at the higher elevation. So you have beaches on both the Pacific and the Caribbean side, which is nice for you beach lovers out there. You do have the rainforest. There's also islands. A lot of people don't realize Panama has islands.
Yes.
And there's some pretty popular resorts on some of those islands.
Well, and some of them are really close. You could take that ferry. Well, you could. You couldn't when we were there because of that whole kerfuffle.
Yeah.
But there's a ferry that's only a 20-minute ride over to the nearest island. And boy, the waters over there are gorgeous.
Yeah, they really are pretty. Yeah. So the kerfuffle is that the mayor of this island, the docks needed repaired, and they said, we're not paying for it. He wanted the ferry companies to pay for it. And the ferry company said, we're not paying for it. This is the public service. You have to pay for it. So the mayor just shut down the dock and said, all right, we're done. You're not coming anymore. So we haven't heard what happened with that yet.
No, I haven't actually checked into it. I'll have to. But maybe one of you guys could tell us.
Yeah, yeah. So if you like the cooler climates, Boquete is obviously very popular. It's one of the most well-known areas of Panama. And we know a lot of people who've been there and lived there, and they love it.
They do. I feel like this is another place that you either really like it or you don't, because for some people it's just too small. So it's another reason why you really should go check out these places for yourself, because you may think, oh, Boquete is going to be perfect for me, and then you get there and you find that it's lacking in something.
All right, number 6 on the pro side is the large existing expat community, which to a lot of you is important. I know some people say, well, I want to live like a local and blend in and be friends with locals and stuff. But I think after you live abroad for a while, you kind of grow to appreciate having someone who speaks your own language, having a similar cultural upbringing, and you can still be friends with the locals, but sometimes it's really nice to hang out with the expats too.
I agree 100%. And also helps your transition when you are moving to a new country and you're unsure, like when we moved to Ecuador. It was really nice to have expats who had already done it and were there to share their expertise with us.
Definitely.
And then you do get to settle in, and then you get to know your neighbors and you get to meet the locals.
Yeah, it's an easier transition.
It is.
And also because there's so many expats from the US, there's a lot of doctors who speak English. So for the healthcare it's easier.
Oh, and that is so important.
Yeah, so it definitely can make the move abroad less intimidating.
Agreed.
Going someplace, it's already kind of, the groundwork is laid.
Yes, it is nice since somebody has already paid that way for us.
Yeah, exactly. All right, number 7 is that it is one of the very few territorial tax systems left on the planet. I think, Paraguay is another one?
Paraguay, Costa Rica, there's a few out there.
Yeah, and UAE maybe, where you don't have to pay tax on your foreign earned income. So if like your Social Security, for example, or if you work online and you earn your income in another country, you don't have to pay tax on that, which is nice.
They do not tax global income.
Correct. Only income earned inside Panama.
Yes. There are other countries that you can work within the tax system to minimize your tax burdens. But remember, as Americans, you always have to pay taxes no matter what. So
or file.
File. You're right. You have to
file taxes. You may not have to pay any, but
hopefully you don't.
Yeah, and with the foreign earned income exclusion, you might not have to, especially if you say sayonara to the U.S. and don't go back.
Yeah.
All right, number 8 is they have good health care at lower prices. So it's one of the things that we've discovered as traveling abroad is healthcare is like a human right in most countries. So you get really good health care at affordable prices. In most countries, it's available to everyone. If you want faster appointments or maybe more qualified professionals, you can go with private system and pay more. But paying more is still like a tenth or a third of the cost of what you would pay in the U.S.
Yes, it's very affordable. It's much quicker and easier to get doctors. You'll find that most medications are available around the world. They may not have exactly what you take at home, but they should be able to find something that will work for you in most cases.
Yeah. I think number 9 is, you already mentioned this one too, is that you can drink the tap water in Panama City in some of the newer areas, which is nice.
It is really nice. After spending so much time in Asia other than Singapore, I really am happy to be here in Prague right now where we could just drink the tap water.
Yeah.
It's not something I take for granted.
Yeah. All right, number 10 is the friendly people. And what's funny is that I've had comments from people saying that the Panamanians are not friendly the comments were not friendly about the Panamanians not being friendly. So I have to say, I always say you get out what you get back what you put out into the world. So if you're not friendly to them, they're not going to be friendly to you. We're friendly to them, and they were friendly to us.
Yeah, I thought everybody was friendly and approachable. We also try to speak Spanish. Our Spanish isn't perfect. It helps. A little goes a long way. So if you just put yourself out there a little bit, that really does make a big difference to any local, not just people who are from Panama or who speak Spanish.
Yeah.
But if that was our number 10, I have another one.
Well, wait, I'm not done with this one yet. So remember the torrential rain story? That's what I always like to say. This is kind of how we felt like we were treated in Panama, is that we were going for a walk to lunch, and halfway there we got caught in a torrential downpour that we didn't really expect. And we were standing under a palm tree, and we were just getting drenched. We were trying to like cover under these bushes and stuff. And the guy across the way, he ran a copy shop, and he like stepped out into the rain and waved us over, and we like trounced through the water to get over to his place. And he had a towel for us and offered us hot tea. And
he was so nice.
He did not have to do that. We didn't know he was there. It's not like we were staring at him in his dry office or anything. We couldn't see him.
No.
He did that out of the goodness of his heart.
That was very kind and definitely unnecessary, and we were so appreciative.
Definitely. So that was kind of our experience with friendly Panama. We had so many, though. I mean, we met so many that were so nice to us.
Agreed.
All right, what was your number 11?
The time change.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Meaning that it's in the same time zone as Eastern U.S. or Central U.S., depending on what time of year it is. And for those of us who are still remote workers like me, that's a big deal. I can't tell you how often I have gotten confused by what time it was in Denver. Thank goodness for the World Clock app on the phone now.
Yeah.
But that is, if you're working, that is something to factor in for sure.
Yeah, I always say Amelia is time zone challenged because she is always either an hour late or an hour early for a meeting.
Not anymore.
Time zone.
I have done that before.
Yeah. All right, so if you guys have been thinking about moving abroad for a while, but you haven't done it yet, then we created a fun quiz that might help you figure out why you're feeling stuck or why you've been stuck. So you can take that. It only takes a couple of minutes, and it's free, of course. You can do that at ameliaandjp.com/quiz or scan this QR code right here, and the result might surprise you and some of the pointers that we have, depending on what type of person you are. It might be a little enlightening.
Hopefully so.
Yeah, it was fun. It's a fun quiz. All right, so now let's take a look at Panama's downsides, and there are a few that might influence your decision to move there or not. And the first one is the weather. It is hot and humid and rainy half the year.
It is. I will say the rain, honestly, even the time we got stuck out in the rain, it didn't bother me because it wasn't cold, at least, but that could get old. The humidity was a bit much. There was times when we went out just for a few hours and I was pretty spent after that. Yeah.
The rainy season is about 6 months long, and it rains quite a bit. We're talking like 8 to 12 inches a month.
Yes.
So it's a lot of rain. The dry season is nice. It's 6 months and there's hardly any rain during those months.
I think you just really have to learn how to adapt and find things that you can do indoors. And the heat can definitely be a factor. Like we talked about, if you can't handle the heat, then don't just get out of the kitchen. I guess get out of the city and go up. I know that was super cheesy. Go up to Volcan or Boquete or one of those other places, or go to Ecuador.
Yep.
That's what we said we were going to do in a video.
Yeah.
We'll just go to Ecuador.
Yeah, go to Ecuador for those months.
Or go to Colombia.
Yeah. All right, number 2 on the downside is the public transportation is lacking and traffic is kind of brutal.
Yes, it is bad.
The roads outside the Panama City, well, even inside Panama City, are not big enough for the amount of traffic on them. So we would be sitting in traffic just going from like the mall back to our lodging for 20 minutes just to get through one like section of road.
Yeah, and this is when the heat is a bit of a frustration because we could probably walk there faster, but it's not, the city is walkable, but it's not as walkable as I would like.
The neighborhoods are not that walkable.
Yeah, so narrow sidewalk sometimes is just not it's not as simple, but also it's just hot. So if you don't want to go someplace and be dripping in sweat, then you want to take a car, but then you may be sitting in traffic.
Yeah, and the urban noise from the traffic, motorcycles and cars and buses.
Yes,
It can be
get
kind of
noisy.
loud. Yes.
It's a noisy city.
And there's no national rail system. There is a train that goes across along the Panama Canal from the Pacific side to the Caribbean side, but there's no national train system. So if you want to go to Boquete, for example, and you're in Panama City, it's an 8-hour drive.
Yes.
It's not as easy to get around. That's a downside. And you really need a car. If you live outside Panama City,
Yeah, you'd want a car.
you're going to probably, or, if you live in Boquete, you might not need one. But if you live on the coast in Coronado, you're going to need a car, which is a downside in my opinion.
I agree. I know some people really like to have their cars, so maybe that's a positive for you.
Yeah, so the cost of living, number 3 is cost of living. It's not as cheap as it used to be. It used to be really affordable. The prices have gone up. We noticed that when we were there.
Yeah, just the second time we went there, it had gone up. Not enormously, but if you're on a budget, it definitely can have an impact.
You can still live there on less than $2,000 a month as a single, probably $3,500 a month as a couple, but it's definitely not. There are cheaper places in the world than that now, especially in Southeast Asia.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Number 4, some areas lack walkability. Amelia's jumping ahead again. She likes to do that.
I do.
But yeah, I would say that in some of the neighborhoods weren't that walkable, or getting between neighborhoods wasn't that walkable.
I think that was the bigger issue, is the in-between. It was harder to connect. Really depends on where you are. The main roads were all pretty walkable. We still may do.
Yeah, yeah. In the area where we stayed in El Cangrejo, that was pretty walkable. But to get from that neighborhood to the next one, you have to cross this spaghetti structure of highways, and there wasn't a clear path.
But sometimes we were kind of walking down an alley.
Yeah, yeah. Or crossing a busy street
Yeah.
without really a good crosswalk.
However, it didn't feel as terrifying as trying to cross the street in Da Nang, for example,
Yeah.
in Vietnam or some other Asian countries. There's not a zillion motorcycles coming at you at all angles, or tuk-tuks.
Yeah. Number 5 on the con list is that it's kind of dirty and trashy. There's lots of trash everywhere. A lot of the buildings, because it's in the tropics, a lot of the buildings have that black mildewy look to them, where it's just like running down the buildings, and you can't keep up with that. I mean, you have to be painting that or power washing it all the time to keep that under control. It just makes it kind of not very aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, the newer areas, like that area along the
Cinta Costera, whatever it's called.
those were a lot nicer, but those are also newer buildings, so I think they're using different materials to avoid.
Yeah, the glass doesn't have that problem. A lot of the newer buildings are glass.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So it's not like they're dirty, but they just look. They just don't look as pretty. Casco Viejo, however, they keep that nicely maintained.
Yeah. And there's just a lot of trash, though.
There is a lot of trash.
A lot of trash on the sidewalks and in the streets, and we saw people picking it up in some places, but I don't think they can keep on top of it.
Yeah.
So, which is disappointing. But again, we see that in so many places.
Yeah.
The most litter we've ever seen was in India. It was
that
the
was
worst
terrible.
there. It's everywhere.
That was terrible.
Yeah. So number 6 on the cons list is the income inequality and visible poverty. And it's really sad to see that. It makes you feel a little bit guilty.
It does.
Driving through the ghetto to get to Casco Viejo, which is the historic center, and it's super cool and nice and upscale. And you're going to spend $20 a person for lunch. And then like on the edge of that it's just extreme poverty.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of gentrification going on, and it is hard to see. It is. We're not getting into that topic, but just be aware of it. It was, I don't want to say off-putting, sobering. It is sobering.
Sad.
It
We
is
saw a
very
lot of
sad.
drug problems too, like people just like passed out in the street. And that was a bit harsh. And our driver a couple of times said, "Don't ever walk through here. This is not a place where you want to go walking."
Right.
He's like, "You drive through this area," and that was
enough. It made me. I didn't want to drive through there.
yeah. All right, so let's talk about on that note. Let's pick up the emotion here a little bit. So the best fit, Panama is a really good fit if you're a retiree. Obviously, is great for slow travelers, especially for Americans, because we get 6 months visa free.
Yes, that is nice.
people,
Yeah.
if you want modern conveniences, one of our turtles who was there on our leap with our Turtle Travel Club lives in Guadalajara, and she really thought the shopping in Panama City was way better than
She
Guadalajara.
did. She really liked Panama City a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, so if you want, if you're a frequent traveler and you want a really nice hub, Panama is it because, like we said earlier, it goes to a lot of places. So, and you're not paying, like Ecuador is not a great hub for travel
it's
because they have a ton of taxes to fly in there as a tourist or a resident or an expat. So that kind of adds to your budget, and it doesn't go that many places. So you're usually connecting through somewhere. So
Yeah, like Panama.
Yeah, usually Panama or Bogota.
Or Bogota. Panama has a digital nomad visa too, so you can stay longer if you wanted to.
Yeah, and it's also good for people who like tropical weather.
Absolutely.
Yep. So it may be less ideal if you are sensitive to humidity and heat,
Yes.
or if you're seeking extremely low cost of living. There's better options in Southeast Asia.
Although you're going to have humidity and heat there.
Yeah.
So.
And other areas in Latin America are much more affordable.
There are some more
Nicaragua and Guatemala.
That's
and
true.
People tell us we're crazy for recommending that, but we get comments all the time. We hear from people who respond to the newsletter saying they love those countries. We have a friend that lives in Guatemala now on the lake.
Oh yeah, she loves it.
She loves it. And she's a young woman living there.
By herself.
Yeah, running a hotel. Well, she's not technically by herself because she has lots of guests.
Yes, that's a good point. We got to go to Guatemala. We have other turtles that love it there too.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's also probably not an ideal fit if you're looking for like that European style walkability or a lot of public transportation or that kind of stuff. It's not for that.
Yeah, if you want European style in Latin America, then you're looking at Uruguay or Argentina.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so if you want the urban modern lifestyle, you've got Panama City. I actually really like Panama City for that.
It's a nice city.
Thing. I wouldn't want to live there full time, but I really like it as a slow travel hub.
My biggest issue was just the heat and humidity, and now that I've had a break from it, I could handle it
You think?
but not.
She says that. I can hear it now. It's so hot. It's so hot. I can't take it.
I'm just so sweaty all the time.
Yeah.
So sweaty, and we like to be active. So hiking up that hill. I was very sweaty.
Yeah. So for the cooler mountain lifestyle, you've got Boquete and Volcan and some other areas in that central part where the mountains are. Although we did hear from a local that Boquete has gotten a lot more expensive. It's kind of priced the locals out. There's so many expats there now.
Yeah.
We tend to not go places where there are more or so many expats, they push out the locals. And Cuenca, even though it feels like there's a lot of expats in Cuenca, Ecuador, there's really not. It's like 10,000 or something like that. And the population is about 500,000.
Yeah, Cuenca's actually a lot bigger than I think people realize. Yeah. It's more than just El Centro.
Yeah. Yeah, whereas Vilcabamba, it's like mostly expats there now. A lot of the locals have been priced out of Vilcabamba too, which is why we don't really recommend that anymore.
Agreed.
Yeah. So the beach-oriented people, you've got Coronado and Pedasi. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the Caribbean side, you have Bocas del Toro. Although I thought I read online that wasn't that safe. Did you see that?
I don't know.
I know. It's just you need to check the safety, and it really is a personal decision. Some people feel totally safe living in an area where other people would feel totally unsafe. It's really, everybody has their own threshold when it comes to safety.
Well, we always recommend starting in the known places. I know sometimes people want to go off the beaten path, and I completely understand that. We like to do that too. But when you're exploring a new country, start with the known. Mm-hmm. You're going to figure out right away if you're going to have a comfort level there. Panama City may not be the right place for you, but it's a really good place to get your feet wet, get your visa done if that's what you want to do, get an idea about the lifestyle, the people, and then from there you could start branching out.
Yeah, and you'll also learn from the locals and other expats what areas to avoid.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. That's really important.
Yeah. So what do you think about Panama as a place to live, not just travel through?
I think it's a great option. I don't know if it would be a great option for us because of the heat, but like you said, people live there and they absolutely love it. And I think that for some people, they go Panama City and Boquete because people do that in Ecuador too. That's not an uncommon thing. So don't think you have to pick either or. You can pick Panama as your country and then make it work for you depending on the time of year or just what you're in the mood for.
Yeah. Does that digital nomad visa go to permanent?
It does not.
So then that rules it out for me.
Yeah, it doesn't work for us.
It would work for a slow travel hub, but not because we're not retired and we don't have a pension or Social Security.
Right.
But you only have to be 18, right, to do that
Yes.
pensionato. But usually then you have an annuity, or like you've inherited money that's an annuity when you have consistent income. But there's no age. 18 is the age limit on that. But we don't have that, unfortunately.
Right.
So it's really not going to work for us because we're not retired, and I wouldn't want to spend time on a digital nomad visa that doesn't go to permanent.
Yeah, I agree. It doesn't make sense for us, but it is such a great option for a lot of other people.
It is, yeah. So let us know if Panama is on your list or if it's off of your list now. We want to know that too. Just drop those in the comments below. So, all right, guys, that's all we have for now. If you want to leave us a like before you go, we would appreciate that. It really helps our channel. And remember to check out that quiz at ameliaandjp.com/quiz to see why you're still stuck if you have not moved abroad yet, even though you've been thinking about it.
All right. I think that about wraps it up. Thanks so much for watching, and we will see y'all in our next video.
Ciao.
Ciao.